you know, so
Because we have
yeah, that's crazy, man. It's
with them.
cool. It's cool. And that's a lot why I'm on like the I like the post production in I like that we could do the post production. So we streaming live right now. We live right now.
All right,
Hey, your camera looks good. Your video looks good.
it's
You
good to hear.
know.
Good to hear. Good to hear.
Okay, so listen to
Yeah.
all of our people, and we are in the Money Sex Gen X Facebook page group. Yes, we experienced some technical difficulties. This is part of the journey. This is part of the game, people. It is what it is. It happened. Y'all witnessed it. To all of the MSG family,
Yes.
you saw it first, man. And we want to say thank you for staying with us, for rocking with us through the trials and errors as we build up this platform on the Money Sex Gen X podcast, where my man, the Sultan of podcasts, the Scottie Pippen of podcast simping, is Eric McLoyd. He is the host. I am the co-host, Big Stu, Scott Stewart, Professor Stewart. It depends on how you know me. And thank y'all for being with us. Today we are talking top 5 producers, dead or alive. And so we talked about one of mine was Beethoven. Hey, did you want to have something to say before we jump back in the conversation, man?
Nah, thanks for hanging in there with us. It is what it is. We live and things happen when you go live. So let's get back in there. So you were talking about Beethoven. I didn't expect that from you. Not because I don't think you have a diverse palette when it comes to music. Just unexpected. So that was cool. When we broke off, I was talking about how I played the trumpet when I was younger. So I have played some classical music, a lot of other different types of music, jazz, of course, hip hop, all that stuff, rock. But where I was going with that is I wanted to ask you what else does your palette consist of? Before we get into your top five, I just want to know what does your musical palette consist of?
So I range in any given day to anything from Michael Franks, who I like a lot, to binaural beats, um, to like literally sound. So 432 megahertz is a sound wave that I'm in tune to during the day. To some Cardi B and Megan the Stallion, I can get out on some WAP, you know. To Biggie and music of the 80s and 90s, to some disco, deep house, to some reggae. No, 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 that was my song last week. You don't know, I know that you don't love me, boy, how that go? you know um to some Afro beats. So I'm all over, man. It depends on what I need, what kind of mood I'm in. I think I'm the greatest DJ that never been a DJ, So I know how music can control a mood too. So I'm big on controlling an environment. I want to when I'm around, I want to be the DJ because I want to move the crowd. I want to control the crowd. What about you? How what's your musical palette consist of?
My musical palette, it doesn't sound like it is as broad as yours, right? I've been exposed to a lot of different types of music. Um, even aside from playing an instrument, my father played. I grew up hearing a lot of R&B, blues, jazz, just all different types of artists. But primarily for me, I'm a big hip hop and R&B person. That's really mainly what I'm into. You might catch me sometimes listening to trip hop. I don't know if you're
Oh
familiar
yeah,
with
yeah, yeah.
Portishead. Portishead is one of my favorite,
Oh, I love Portishead.
I used to listen to. But I'm mainly a hip hop and R&B dude, straight up.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't imagine. I would think that you was I noticed from your list that you were putting together that you got a lot of East Coast influence. How much of an influence was go-go?
Go-Go was a really big influence. You know, DC and Go-Go and even influenced a lot of early hip hop. I don't really listen to a lot of go-go now, but when I was younger, it definitely was it was a backdrop of part of my life for sure. It was definitely something when we went to, so I grew up going to a lot of house parties and stuff like that, or block parties. It was definitely a big part of that. And I feel like with go-go, a lot of those go-go stars from DC back in the day or the DMV area, they really, to me, didn't get their justice in terms of their contributions to music. But where you would hear it a lot of times, I don't know if you remember a lot of early like Salt and Pepper tracks. A lot of those were heavily go-go influenced. I don't know if you remember Kid and Play from back in the day. A lot of their tracks were heavily go-go influenced, and I think that's where go-go went to the mainstream more, during that time period. But yeah, shout out to all the go-go artists that still get busy in DC, Maryland, Virginia area. And I don't listen to it as much now, but a lot of respect.
Okay. How often are you even listening to music these days? Because you're the owner of, and by the way, this episode is powered by Hubris Global Wealth Management. Eric is the principal owner, founder, and CEO. And I know you work a lot, man. So how much time do you even get to listen to music in a day?
Fam, I listen to music every day,
All
several,
day while you work?
several times throughout the day.
Okay.
Music is my vitamin C.
Eee.
Always listen to music. I was listening to music when I was setting up for the podcast. I was listening to Rick Ross, one of his albums that I get a lot of energy from. You know what I mean? So I'm always listening to music all day, not all throughout the day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't imagine a world without music,
Now, now, did you ever attempt to be an MC or producer?
Yeah, for sure. I didn't attempt to be an MC. I was an MC.
Really?
I was a freestyle fanatic. So I used to
No.
battle people doing, freestyle, and I was really good. But but the thing that eluded me that I really, really wanted to do, so I used to battle dudes a lot, but I wanted to be a DJ. And I did not, I knew several of my homies were DJs, and we used to even get shouted out on mixtapes, even my brother. We used to rock a lot of low even back in the day. So a couple of cats used to call us the low kids and different names like that. But I wanted to be a DJ so bad, but it just never happened. So like, I do my little, like you said, I curate stuff when we have get together. I'm talking about get busy for real on the turntables. I always wanted to do that. And one thing that I know for sure, I'm going to make that happen. I might be 60 years old, but I'm going to get that skill of being a DJ. But yeah, I was definitely a freestyle rapper and all that stuff, for sure.
I never knew that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, it's not readily apparent when you look at me now, but if you had seen me back in the day, I definitely was a dude that was ready to get busy in a battle, for sure.
So fun fact.
Fun fact. Yeah, man. What
Big
about yourself?
Big Stu Large is the full name, was at one point even nominated as one of Chicago's best MCs
Didn't know that.
back in the day.
Okay.
I've had the pleasure of rapping alongside some hip hop greats like Rhyme Fest and Juice.
Okay. Didn't know that.
I've been on stage performing, opening up for Method Man, uh, and others along over the years. We had a whole crew. Big Stu got bars. Big Stu had videos, music videos. I even recorded something a couple of years ago. I recorded a song last year to keep up. I haven't been freestyling in a while, but you know, I got bars still to this day.
Well, I'm gonna tell you something, brother. When we get back together, I'm gonna test you on that. Because I still like to get busy with the battle. So I'm gonna test you out on that, see what you about.
Yeah. And I also, like you, it's so crazy how much we continue to learn about each other. I've always wanted to be a DJ.
Yeah, man.
And I've always wanted to be a DJ. So
Yeah.
I don't think I don't have the aspiration to DJ like you do today, but I do consider myself a purveyor of hip hop and a curator of music. I have a ton of playlists, amazing playlists to me.
Yeah.
And I like putting people up on new music.
Same here. Same here. You know, one of our mutual acquaintances, and when this COVID thing slow down, we're gonna have to get you over there. But Jim Harbin, who we both know, Jim has these get-togethers, you know, fairly often, and we basically, you know, he got a really nice setup as far as music or whatever. But we basically have these contests where people take turns DJing. We're not using a turntable; we're just curating off of the digital, whatever. But that makes me feel like, in those moments that, yeah, I actually became a DJ like I always wanted to, you know.
Yeah, me
So
and the guys
over there and get you in that mix one evening.
no doubt. Me and the guys do something similar now that we all got these devices and the Bluetooth, so everybody get 3 songs.
Yeah, that's kind of how
you get 3 songs. Like get your 3. You better get your list ready. You gotta come harder. You better come with it.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's how
And
the crowd will let you know if you're getting busy or not. So yeah.
So let's get back to the conversation a little bit. I mean, we didn't leave the conversation, but I gave you one of my top 5 producers of all time, dead or alive, which was Beethoven. Let us in on one of your top 5. You don't have to give us all of them. Give me one of your top 5 dead or alive producers.
One of my top 5 dead or alive is the RZA.
The RZA.
Yeah, you know, and I'm going back to what we talked about, you know, the cultural shifts, how I felt when I listened to the music. You know, everybody talks about the purple tape, but I remember like even Ghost, his first tape that I heard, you know what I mean? Like the way that I felt, or the first ODB album, you know what I mean? Like the way that I felt listening to it, to those albums. Yeah, and I'm not even, you know, the lyricism was great and all of that. To this day, it stands up. I'm talking about the music, the sonic impact that it had on my physical being.
Yeah.
Are you? And listen, man, even people like Kanye West, who we're gonna talk about him. He's on my list too, but he even credits the RZA as being a heavy influence on him speeding up samples and just being able to manipulate sounds. You know what I mean? So yeah, the RZA is one of my top 5, dead or alive.
Wow. Hats off to the RZA.
Yeah, no doubt.
I've had a chance to meet him a couple of times. He's a different dude, and generally cats of that creative prowess tend to be pretty different. So he's different.
Yeah, he is.
Different. Yeah, and I can appreciate RZA. He changed my life. I'm repping Wu, you know, because RZA changed my whole perspective of life. You know, he really did, man. I never was a what they call a boy fan or anything. I was never like a boy fan of any group or artist or anything until Wu. And I couldn't even believe that the RZA produced that first 36 Chambers album from top to bottom. Unbelievable. Unbelievable, man.
It was unbelievable, yeah.
It still is. So you had some criteria. I think let's just review the criteria for this list, our list.
Yeah, and if you all are out there, you know, this is season 2, episode 4. We're talking about something a little less serious today, but definitely part of the Gen X experience. We're talking about top 5 music producers, dead or alive, and the criteria that we came up with is contribution to the culture, body of work, longevity, the hits. You got to put the hits in there, and then how did the music make you feel? Which to me, I think is the most important for me. But how did it make you feel when you were listening to these songs?
Yeah, yeah.
So what I want to ask you is, you know, I've really been looking forward to having this conversation with you for a while because I know you are a music person. How did you approach? Did you already know who your top 5 was before we went on this journey, or did you have to really think and go back and construct that list?
I had to go back. I had to go back. I realized that I wasn't really paying attention to a lot of the DJs. I mean, a lot of the producers. And I wanted to know, I started thinking about the songs that were a major influence to me and wanting to know who those producers were. So I started off rattling off a bunch of producers, but they were all more up to date, more updated rap producers, you know. So I had to go back, even beyond Marley Marl, you know, who produced the I believe it was the My Philosophy album. You know, the first KRS-One album was Marley Marl,
Yeah.
DJ Scott LaRock. I had to go back.
Shan, all
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So it was real hip hop influence, but there's other music that I like. I talked a little bit earlier about liking a lot of deep house, like a lot of house. So, you know, Jamie Principle is a house producer. You know, Farley, funk. You know, I can't even Farley. Um, yeah, man, I had to go back. I had to go back and appreciate some of the music. Quincy Jones, man, Michael Jackson was a major influence. I was like, who was producing Mike's music? And it was Quincy, man. Quincy
Quincy,
Jones, man.
sure. Yeah, man.
What was your process in curating your list of producers?
Yeah, I kind of knew who they were, but I went back anyway because I wanted to be prepared for the episode, and I just started thinking about what songs and albums really like grabbed you as you were coming up. You know what I mean? Like when I was in my teenage years or early adult years, I said, okay, what's your top albums? And then let's go back and see who the producers were. Because I kind of thought I knew, and in some cases I did, and in other cases it wasn't who I thought it was, and there were people in the mix that I didn't know about and all of that. So I went back, did some extensive research.
Yeah, yeah. And I have a obviously, you know, I'm co-owner of a music streaming platform, and there are a lot of people that I know in that space. And so I know a lot of producers, right? I know a lot of producers. And so I had to include some of those guys as well because they deserve it, right? Um, so I just want to shout out Kendall Beats, you know, who is one of the best producers that I know, and he will be recognized globally soon enough. He's a young guy. I don't even think he's even 30 years old yet. So shout out to Kendall P. You know, shout out to Reg Vader, who produces a lot of music for a lot of people here in the Chicago area, particularly one TMC from the Dirty 130s, Alligator Gardens, All Gardens, who is one of the best MCs of all time. Not enough people have heard him, TMC. So I want to shout out some of those guys as well. You know, they deserve it. Do you have any buddies from that still produce or that you kind of grew up with that are doing anything significantly in the industry?
I don't. I have a lot of buddies or ex-associates or whatever that are DJs.
Okay.
So no, I never really had any relationships with people who were producing the music, even though I would kind of know about them in the neighborhood or in the area or whatever, but I never had that one-on-one relationship. But just a lot of DJs that got busy. And that's why I think I developed that fascination with it, because I'm sitting there while they're doing it.
Okay.
I mean, like, so I never got that. Would have been nice to like sit in on studio sessions when people were making albums and all that. So I didn't get that experience, but I did get you're sitting right there with the dude that's about to DJ the party tonight.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
You hearing them select records and kind of practice and cut and all of that. So yeah, I got that experience.
Yeah, I want to. You want any of those guys you want to shout out, man? I don't want to put you on the spot. I don't. I know there might be some names, but you want, because now, I mean, if they're your guys, man, I think it's a good opportunity to shout them out. Some of those DJs. Any of them? You got any?
Yeah, the one that I want to shout out that I still have a good relationship with is, and I don't know where this brother is right now, but DJ Big E.
DJ B.
E. He's from out from the DMV area. He was out in downtown Newport News. Yo, dude used to get busy, man. Oh, another DJ. I think he relocated to Atlanta, but another DMV guy's name is Ray Moore. Ray Moore. Anybody that's from like Newport News, Norfolk, DC, Virginia Beach area, they know Ray Moore gets busy to this day. He actually did a Facebook Live that I saw right when COVID started. A lot of people that we knew from back in the day were joining, but Ray Moore's song selection to me has always been exquisite. You ever had a DJ that he played the right next song? So like the song that he's playing is crazy, and then the next song is just a perfect blend to what he just played. Ray Moore, salute to you. I hope things are going well in the ATL, but Ray Moore still get busy to this day. So Ray Moore and Big E, those are two guys that I really enjoyed from back in the day. I don't know what's up with Big E, but I know Ray Moore is still doing his thing.
Okay. I want to take a moment to shout out a couple of people. My personal DJ back in the day was DJ Ram.
Okay.
And so DJ Ram also was the reason that I met Kanye and got to know Kanye because of DJ Ram. DJ Ram used to date. Kanye used to date DJ Ram's sister. So he was always over there coming in on our recording sessions, breaking in on our sessions.
Okay.
And I always had something to say. So shout out to DJ Ram. I also want to shout out, DJ Ferris here in Chicago, because I had an opportunity on many occasions to sit in his basement and watch his process before my man Big Rich passed away. Big Rich was his left hand, and Big Rich was my guy. So Big Rich would always bring me around, and so shout out to DJ Ferris, and then shout out to my man Terry D from Boy So Ill. He's a producer. He's not a DJ, but shout out to Terry D from Boy So Ill Records, Boy So Ill Entertainment. Those are guys that it's since we having this conversation and we have the reach, shout those guys out, man. They influence me, man. So shout out to you guys, man.
No doubt. So you definitely knew a few people in the music game. So
yeah,
you gave me Beethoven.
Yeah.
Did you give me a number 2 or
didn't I give you?
So, and these, I don't want them in any particular order, right? I just want to know top 5 is. I would want you to save your best one for last, right?
Okay.
Who's your second slot?
Well, and I did put them in order. I already prepared, so they are relatively in order already. So, and I am saving my best for last. And so, Quincy Jones, man.
Quincy Jones,
man.
Thought about him. Yeah. I put him on the list that we put on IG for sure. Quincy Jones, yeah.
Yeah, because I'm a big
man. Quincy Jones, to me, I know about all the stuff with Michael Jackson and a lot of other groups, but like one of the people that he was doing production for, and this is before like things went crazy, but like when I was a freshman in college, Tevin Campbell was a big deal.
Okay.
You know, I don't know if that's somebody people would admit that they was listening to Tevin, but going to the club and just dealing with young ladies at that time, Tevin would be played. Like that first album that came out. And I know Quincy Jones had a lot to do with that album. I think the joint is called Tevin, the album that I'm talking about. But that was crazy. But that was one of the times where I started paying attention to Quincy Jones and then looking at his other stuff that he did.
Yeah. Now, remind me again, who was the one that you said? Who was the producer you said?
RZA. That was my first.
RZA. Okay. And then I said Quincy Jones.
Beethoven and Quincy Jones.
Yeah, Quincy Jones, man. You know, the Michael Jackson Off the Wall album is like probably one of, it may be for me personally, and between him and that Stevie Wonder, the Stevie Wonder album,
In the Key of
Life, between those two albums, of all genres of music, may do it for me. I'm not sure which one. And you know, I could argue either one at this point, but I'm gonna go with Mike's Off the Wall album. Bananas, bro. Just bananas. Absolutely bananas. I don't care what they say about Mike. The Off the Wall album does it for me. So shout out to Quincy Jones, man.
Definitely a legend in the game.
Yeah.
I definitely thought a lot about Quincy. Another person who came up is in my top 5 that I want to mention right now is you know what? This is gonna be Pete Rock.
Oh, okay.
Rock, Soul Brother #1. Definitely in my top 5.
Okay. So you go from, you in no particular order. I like Pete Rock. I can go Pete Rock. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna go.
So Pete Rock is in your top 5?
Nope, he wasn't in my top 5.
Oh, okay.
Nah, he wasn't in my top 5. But I can respect Pete Rock. Pete Rock can see. You know, the only song that I really and a lot of my hip hop heads may not, you know, hey, whatever, man. But you know, Pete Rock and CL Smooth wasn't my group. They wasn't my guys like that.
What?
Only Troy. Troy was the only song they reminisce over you. Was like, I thought that song was hot as ever. That was.
Oh man, I don't know.
I don't know a lot of Pete Rock and them Pete Rock and CL songs. They ain't do it for me.
Wow. Okay. Well, they definitely I messed with them, man, for sure.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I only know a couple of songs. Only get down off a couple of songs from Pete Rock and CL.
Another group that Pete Rock worked with that I think is notable is I don't know if you listen to Smith and Wesson back in the day.
Oh yeah.
Where they called themselves the Cocoa Brothers. They changed the name at one point, but he did a lot of work with them. Of course, Heavy D, who was his cousin. And dude got so many hits, it's ridiculous, man. I mean, just a lot of probably every who's who artist, he's done some kind of production for them. So yeah, he's definitely in my top
5. I could go through a lot of notables, and I want to do that real quick. I just want to run through some people who I put on the list who are not necessarily in my top 5. Can I have a few seconds to kind of run through that, like the ones that so some of the ones that I had in there, for example, were, of course, Kanye. I think Kanye, I don't know if he's in my top 5, right? DJ Jelly Beans.
Kanye is in my top 5. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about that.
DJ Jelly Beans. He produced us a lot of Whitney Houston stuff.
Okay.
Mike Will made it.
Yep.
DJ Quick.
That was yes, definitely.
DJ Quick.
Yeah.
I know we both will agree on Pharrell and No ID.
No question.
Yeah.
No question.
Swiss Beats.
Yeah, man, Swizz get busy. Yeah, for sure. And do the thing I like about Swizz, he get busy on them turntables too.
Right. I think that's
Did
what
you see
makes
that
him.
battle he did that time with Just Blaze on the turntables?
Yeah, the verses, John.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, I didn't know he'd get down like that. He's good. He's good.
I'm gonna give her these last couple, and then I'm gonna take a break from Apollo Brown, bro. Apollo Brown and Jay Dilla.
Yeah, both of them are from Detroit. Is Apollo Brown's from Detroit too? Yeah.
Apollo Brown is the man. I love his music. And then one more I'm gonna throw in here. Honorable mention: Havoc. Havoc.
Yeah, man. Are you kidding me? Yeah, no
Havoc,
doubt.
man. But none of those guys except for Kanye. Kanye's in my top 5. So I gave 3 of them. No, that wasn't my top 5. I gave you 3 so far. I gave you Beethoven, Quincy, and Kanye in my top 5. I haven't given you my last 2.
Okay. All right. So
who are some of your other notables? Yeah.
I'm gonna throw some notables. These people aren't necessarily in my top 5, but we gotta talk about Scott Storch.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a good one.
He was bringing the pain, killing. I mean, this dude, he got so many hits, it's ridiculous. Even was part of the Roots crew for a minute in Philly. This dude was a monster. He still is. I think he's resurging now. But I wanted to bring him up. I wanted to bring up Buckshot.
Ooh.
BK, Buckshot, and the whole clique. Like, he did production for that whole clique. You know what I mean? It was a lot of guys in that clique he did production for. So I definitely wanted to bring him up. We got to talk about Rick Rubin.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? We got to talk about Rick Rubin. We got to talk about Jam Master Jay. Got to talk about Jam Master Jay, man. And we got to talk about Battle Cat.
Now, put me on. What about? Give me some songs Battle Cat produced.
Now that I might have to research in terms of his actual songs, but what I'll tell you is, and I'll do that now, but Battle Cat is from the West Coast.
Okay.
And definitely well respected.
I'm looking up.
Let's look at his production credits.
He did some Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
He did some Ice Cube, DJ NFX.
Yep.
Okay. Battle Cat.
Yeah, okay. Man. He's a name that I heard. He did some stuff for Domino. Remember Domino back in the day?
I do.
West Coast singer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. He done some Snoop and some Tupac in the game.
Yeah.
Exhibit.
Yeah, he's been around, man. He's done a lot. So shout out to Battle Cat. He's definitely an OG in the music game.
Okay.
And then remember one person that I had on my list that nobody really talks about anymore. Do you remember the Fat Boys back in the day?
Of course.
You remember Prince Marky D?
Yes, the light-skinned one.
Prince Marky D he was a producer. His name is Mark Morales. And he did some production work for Mary J. Blige and a number of other people. Pen game is strong, definitely a solid producer. But Mark Morales, I don't hear people talk about him anymore. But started off as a rapper with the Fat Boys and transitioned into being a producer. I think now he's a radio personality down in Miami or somewhere like that. But wanted to bring up one of the more obscure names that you hear when it comes to production.
Okay. And for when I do the post-production of this episode, I'm gonna flood it with some snippets of some of these songs, of quick snippets, so we don't get shut down. I'm gonna flood it though.
No doubt.
With some of these stuff.
So I wanted to push a little more on DJ Quick. So you are from the Midwest. I've spent most of my life in the Midwest and the East Coast, and I was a big DJ Quick fan. Talk to me about how you felt about DJ Quick and how you got turned on to his music.
Yeah, man. With DJ Quick, so being from the Midwest, in hip hop, we consumed all of the genres of music. And so not only was it, local artists that we had of our own, but we of course consumed East Coast. We consumed stuff from the South. So I got to give it up to Master P, and Manny Fresh, and those guys, because they were. But the album that did it for me, well, really, it was the song, it's a song from DJ Quick called "Tonight."
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! So
Yeah,
tonight, man, I don't know. I think I was in my teens, man, and that song that was the song, that was the weekend song, like drinking, and it's probably a senior. I don't know if I was a senior or freshman in college or something. And that song just turned. You talk about getting ready to go out and kick it. It was tonight.
Yeah,
it was tonight. And he was one of the first DJ producer rappers.
Yeah.
DJ producer rapper, and that was before I even knew that he was related to Dr. Dre.
Yeah.
I
don't know if I knew that. I don't know if I knew he was. But
yeah, I think his stepbrother or something like that. Or
yeah, I remember something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And he used a lot of the Zap stuff, a lot of the Roger Troutman influence, which was huge.
Yeah.
Shout out to Roger Troutman. Shout out to Zap, as a producer as well. So yeah, that's what DJ Quick did for me, man.
Yeah, I remember that album, Way Too Funky.
Yeah, man.
And I used to listen, if you were riding in my whip in the early 90s, I would go easily from Tribe Called Quest, like a Midnight Marauders type situation, to DJ Quick, like it was nothing. You know what I mean? And then jump back to, we used to have a lot of mixtapes back in the day, especially on the East Coast. So the mixtapes were cool because they would fuse like go-go with hip hop. Like you might have some of my most vivid memories of go-go is when it was in a mixtape format. You would have Whitney Houston on the vocal track, and then you would have Junkyard on the music side. So and then you hear Whitney Houston come in on the vocals over top of that. Was great. I mean, that was a beautiful mixture of music. You know what I mean?
They don't do that no more.
The genre independently, the mashup of it was just, it was just so beautiful. I forgot about that until we were just having this conversation, but I remember that vividly now. You know what I mean? So yeah.
I think that's how we got to continue to appreciate the fusion of just the music because of DJs who made those mixes, which gave exposure to the producer, because it was like, who's that instrumental? Where can I get that instrumental?
Exactly.
And you ain't had no choice but to honor the the producer of that track. So thanks to the DJ for those fusions. In music. Yeah, that we had the same experience, brother. That was exactly it. It's like, who does that?
No question. Yeah. And that's making me think about one of my favorite DJs of all time. Ron G.
Ron G.
Harlem. Do you remember Ron G?
Absolutely, I remember Ron G.
Let me tell you something, man. If you are a hip hop head, it's no way in the world.
Yeah.
Those blend tapes that Ron G was putting out.
Yeah, man.
And then let me tell you what I remember so much about Ron G. It was like it was 3 different tracks. It was the vocal track. It was in some cases, the actual music track to the song. And then he would put this third beat layer on there. And some of my most vivid memories is when he would do it with R&B. So you would have Keith Sweat singing.
Oh, yeah.
You would have a track under that, and then you would have this beat track on top of that. Man, that's
you gonna have me
like that since in my life.
You gonna have me going on G. You gonna have me going on YouTube and seeing if I can find some of this stuff today.
Fam, those are on YouTube. A lot of his
Oh
mixtapes
yeah,
are
yeah.
on YouTube. I listen to them. They're on there.
I'm looking. They right here.
They're on there. So
Wow.
salute to you, Ron G. You created a backdrop for a lot of my memories. Thank you so much, sir. And he's still doing his thing. You know, he's still doing his thing. I see him on Instagram and different places. But DJ Ron G.
DJ Ron G. That's what's up.
I got excited about that. I wanted to go back to Battle Cat real quick because I blanked when we were talking about him. And I can't believe I forgot this. But one of the artists that Battle Cat did production for that was one of my favorite artists in the 80s was Dana Dane.
Oh.
Yeah.
Dana Dane.
When you get a chance, go back and do the knowledge to his production credits. You'll see Dana Dane, Rolling with Dana Dane. He did a bunch of tracks on that. He did production for this artist named Cam, West Coast rap. Remember Cam?
Okay, I
West
do.
Coast yeah. East Side. You know, he did a lot. He did some joints for Corrupt back in the day. So Battle Cat, if I'm remembering correctly, he's also a bass guitarist.
Okay.
So he's just a musician all the way around. So shout out to Battle Cat. I wanted to make sure we did him justice in terms of that the discussion we're having today.
Absolutely. So let's getting close to our time. Let's roll out. Let's go through your top 5, man. Drop your top 5 because we still got a couple of. This is the Money Sex Gen X podcast, season 2, episode 4. Is this episode 4?
Episode 4, brother. Episode 4, powered by.
No, this is episode 5, brother.
No, this is 4, ain't it? No, this is 4.
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong, right?
Hold up.
The third one was what was the one we did last week?
We did last week we did Are You 40 and Still Dating? That was 4. This is 5.
I forgot about that. Yeah, I stand corrected.
This is 5.
So wait a minute.
Yeah.
You 40, you still dating. We did.
Why fathers don't get the same respect as mothers? That was 3.
Okay.
Scared to Talk About Money was 2. A Million Ways to Kill a Black Man was 1.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
After this, we have 2 more episodes left for season 2.
Wow, I stand corrected. I definitely thought this was number 4. Okay, well, that's good. We're moving at the speed of light. That's great.
So
we got to pay some bills real quick. Today's episode is powered by Hubris Global Wealth Management. As you know, I'm the founder. And listen, the C-suite is crucial when you are. So here's the thing about Hubris. And of course, I'm going to speak glowingly about my own company. But, you know, it's important. When you're building up a startup, and I'm a sucker for a startup. I love being involved with people who have startups. But let's be honest, you know, when you have a startup, a lot of times resources are scarce. You're going around trying to get people to understand the business model and why they should inject some capital and all of that stuff. You got a business plan. At the end of the day, the person, the investor, they're going to be looking at who your team is. And a lot of time, in the beginning stages, you don't have the funds to go out and hire a C-suite, right? And so what Hubris allows you to do is leverage. So we know the most successful entrepreneurs in the world are masters at leveraging money, time, talent, whatever it is. So with Hubris, you get a chance to leverage C-suite level experience and talent to continue to build out your company. So go check us out, www.hubriswealth.us. The website, there's no fluff on there. We're talking about how you can leverage us to build your company and what ways specifically. Planning, strategy, and implementation. Those are the 3 pillars of Hubris Global Wealth. This is my baby. We have helped many, many, many companies. We are looking for active partnerships with people who want to grow their company into something tremendous.
And I have to attest to that. Hubris has been extremely instrumental in my work. So thank you to Hubris Global Wealth
Yes, thank you,
Management.
sir. Thank you for your partnership. So
Indeed.
we definitely appreciate it. All right, so you were asking me to, where were
Yeah,
we at?
I'll go first. This I'm the co-host. You're the host. I'll drop mine first to save yours.
Oh, my top 5 list. Yes, I
Top
want to hear
five. So,
yours.
okay, so Beethoven, and I'm talking not Zaytoven. I'm absolutely Ludwig von Beethoven.
Even though Beethoven it was dope.
Zaytoven deserves an honorable mention.
But he's not Beethoven. Okay.
He is not Beethoven.
Okay.
Okay. And I didn't make Beethoven number 1, but Beethoven is in my top 5. And I know he's a composer,
Right.
but this is before all of this advanced tech. So he was a producer. He produced music.
Okay.
Ludwig von Beethoven. Quincy Jones.
Gotcha.
Okay. Now, I vacillated a little bit over this one. This was tough because I didn't know if I wanted to do this, but Herbie Hancock.
Man, you went way back.
Because the jazz piece, I love jazz. I love jazz.
Definitely grew up listening to him. Okay.
Yeah, got to give up to Herbie Hancock. Okay, now we're to, so that's my 3.
That's a good one.
All right, here we go. My top 2. All right. Kanye West.
Man, respect on that.
Okay.
No doubt. Can't argue with that.
Here's my number 1.
Hey, I must say this. If you had said Kanye was the top one, I wouldn't have argued with you on that. I got
Kanye.
All right.
Kanye.
Chi-Town represent.
All right, now this one was hard, but I'm doing top 5 for Big Stu, Dead or Alive. The Alchemist.
What?
The Alchemist.
Wow.
The
Wow,
Alchemist.
I didn't expect that, man.
The Alchemist, man.
Yeah, trying to get busy though. Alchemist definitely got. I learned about him through Mobb Deep.
The Alchemist, bro. If you can, the Alchemist. He surprised me. I mean, he wasn't on my radar. But when I'm listening to the music that I listen to, and I'm like, what he did, what? I'm like, wow.
Yeah,
he has more influence than and Mobb Deep was everything to me.
Yeah.
And that's late 80s. That's late 80s, early 90s.
Yeah, he was
and
involved.
Even like the Conway stuff that I'm listening to, that Griselda stuff that I'm listening to now, and Freddie Gibbs and all of it, it's the Alchemist. I'm like, come on, dude. Wow.
Yeah.
So he shocked me. He shocked me. And shout out to you, the Alchemist, man. I can't even front. Man, Alchemist, you go hard, bro. You go super hard, man.
Yeah, no doubt.
You dope,
I
man.
definitely listened to a lot of his production in the 90s and early 2000s for sure. And I missed out because I haven't really followed him, his music later. But I'm aware, like Freddie Gibbs is somebody that I read about a lot, even though I don't listen to his music. I know he's from Indiana. And I think Alchemist did a lot of production for Prodigy when he went solo, didn't he?
Absolutely. So look,
I was all over that. For sure.
Look, the Freddie Gibbs stuff, I don't, and I know my man Johnny Smalls. I know you managed Freddie Gibbs. Me and Johnny Smalls was in high school together. He a year under me. I know you. And I ain't a huge Freddie Gibbs fan, but I can't help but listening to him because I had to stop hating. Freddie Gibbs, you go hard, dog. I'm real talk. I gotta give you your credit. I ain't like your style in the beginning, but I can't front on you, Freddie Gibbs. You dope.
I gotta check him out.
I can't even front on you.
About him, I don't know if I've ever listened to his music, but he has a hell of a publicist, because I always see news on Freddie Gibbs, and I'll read it. It'll be interesting stuff or whatever, but his publicist is great. I want to know who his publicist is. That's what I want to know.
And he not new. He not new. He's not new. Been doing this.
Yeah, I've been reading about Freddie Gibbs for probably the last 7 or 8 years or more.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah. He been doing this, man.
Yeah. So
his latest project, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm not mistaken, I believe the Alchemist did his entire latest project, and
I didn't know that.
it's dope. It's
I
dope.
didn't know
So
that. All right.
Beethoven, Quincy Jones, Herbie Hancock, Kanye West, and the Alchemist. My top
Great list.
5.
Great list. Much respect to you for that. I some of those people. Well, I don't really know that much about. Tell me a little bit more about what other. I know we gotta run out of time, but tell me a little bit more about some of Herbie Hancock's production work.
And so Herbie Hancock is definitely unconventional. He broke a lot of the musical conventions of how to produce music, and he's really probably the godfather of bringing in uh the digital sound and making it mainstream, that robo sound, that the fusion of jazz to what we can attribute to hip hop. You know, Herbie Hancock orchestrated that, man. It's just that dance music, digital sound with and when you talk about jazz, see, jazz is that lineage back to the strings, which goes back to, you know, to Beethoven. And I know some people's, you know, are probably going, the Moors in my space are probably gonna say, you know, that's Africa music and you shouldn't have gave it to Beethoven. It's really in Africa. Okay, you know, but you know, from that era all the way to what we are listening to today, you cannot appreciate hip hop without appreciating, to me, Herbie Hancock's contribution to the culture, to the musical culture, especially of what I like today in digital sound. Herbie Hancock uh, ushered that in. So
Yeah, that's a great point. I remember that song. You might know the name of it. Dun 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 dun
oh
dun dun
yeah. It's
dun dun
yeah.
dun.
Yep.
That's one of my. I remember that, but I know he got way more, credits than that. But yeah, Herbie Hancock. Okay.
Yeah, Herbie Hancock did some stuff for like Star Wars, bro. Come on,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
You know,
Definitely.
he did musical scores. I mean, a movie scores, man.
Yeah, I
You know,
remember that.
he did Rocket. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you know, that's, yeah, he's got it, man. He's got a list that's out this world.
That's a different level of talent. That's a different type of talent to do music scores. Like it's one thing to do the music, the albums and stuff, which is tremendous, but to do music scores, that's a whole nother lane to be in. So okay.
Yeah,
Herbie Hancock.
and he was the leader of the group. I don't think Herbie Hancock sang very much. It was all sound.
Yeah, it was
And
that.
then he was composing everything. He was like the Tyler Perry of music,
Yeah, that's a
you
great
know.
way to describe him. Man, I remember he was definitely a big part of the culture at the time. And like so he was the early 80s, mid
He
80s. I
was the
remember.
70s and 80s.
Yeah,
70s and
yeah.
80s.
Herbie Hancock. All right. I like to see what's up with where he's at now, what he's doing. That's a good top five, Stu. That's a good one. I
I
can't
try to show
argue with
some
anybody.
range, man. I try to show some range, man.
Yeah, I can't argue with nobody on that. So let me give you let me give you my top five. So we got the RZA, we talked about that. Kanye West, hands down.
Mm.
This is a person that, when you talk about how the music made me feel, you go back to Through the Wire and just different songs that he's done and the production that he's done for other people. I always felt it. You know what I mean? Like I always felt it strongly when that production was in front of me. And it was, to me, sometimes I don't even know if it was clear that Kanye West did the song until somebody brought it to my attention. So I feel like his style wasn't something that you automatically grab every time. His style was like very broad in terms of the types of music that he could get busy on. So him, definitely Pharrell for me, and the whole Neptunes. The thing that is so important to me about the Neptunes is their use of sounds. Just very varied. And the person that's at the top of my list, he's the king of it. But the Neptunes, for sure, they use a lot of different types of sounds in their music. even their own albums and the production that they did for other people. So they definitely are in my top 5. We talked about Pete Rock. One of the people that Pete Rock does production for that I listen to a lot now, I don't know if he's doing production for him like very recently, is but Smoke DZA. I don't know if you listen to Smoke DZA from Harlem. Crazy. Go back and listen to Smoke DZA's work and the joints that Pete Rock did. Ridiculous. You know what I mean? And, you know, we talked about how Pete Rock did stuff with CL. We talked about, Heavy D was his cousin, so he did stuff with him. So Smith and Wesson, all these different people. But my number one top producer, dead or alive, and I will argue anybody down about this, is Timbaland, Jack. Timbaland is the king. Man, let me tell you something. You want to talk about the use of sound. So think about the baby crying in the background, the rhythm of the beats that he's using and how he's layering the different sounds. Timbaland, to me, man, is the king. Big Pimpin'. You could go back to songs that he did with Jay-Z, like Big Pimpin'. You could go back to, and whether you like this dude as an artist or not, but take the singing out. Justin Timberlake is a great example. The sounds. Woo. Man. Genuine. Now, I got some friends I had a friend in particular, me and him used to argue about, he was like, Genuine was whack and this and that. I never thought that, but whether you think Genuine is whack or not, go back and listen to that. Not talking about the song, Pony, the album that Pony was on, and listen to the sounds. Let me tell you something, man. Go back this week and listen to that album and listen to the sonic variety in that album. Nobody can touch that, man.
Wow.
And you know what? I'm going to tell you something. I know an artist, I know a producer right now that some people would say that we missed, and how could we not put on our list, is Dr. Dre.
Oh, he's on the list.
Neither one of us mentioned Dr. Dre, but still, even with Dr. Dre in the mix, I still give it to Timbaland, because one thing about Tim is he does R&B and hip hop and rock, where Dr. Dre is mostly.
Well, I think Dr. Dre is doing a lot of stuff that's off our radar. Just we ain't checking for it. Like, don't get it twisted on Dre.
I'd like to know what that is, man. Dr. Dre, hey, he's got the talent now. I know he could do it, but I'm not aware of a lot of contributions outside of hip hop and not even really much R&B. I would say more hip hop with him.
Yeah. You know, Dr. Dre. You know, first of all, let's stay on your top 5, because Dr. Dre should have been. There are a couple other people that should have been. Dr. Dre goes back to 1984. Look, anybody can argue these lists, right?
Of course, it's your top 5.
Your top 5. So you have an opportunity to put in your top 5 into the comment section here. Dr. Dre, you know, I really did like the World Class Wrecking Crew from 84 to 85. And then he, you know, all the way up to his last release was in 2015, Straight Outta Compton movie soundtrack. And I'm sure that he's done some other stuff, soundtrack albums.
Michelle NWA.
Yeah.
He's done a lot.
I'm just looking right now at don't forget he did Kendrick Lamar. Good Kid, Mad City.
No, I didn't know that.
And he did a lot of Eminem stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and so
never was a big Eminem fan, but I gotta respect those tracks. Yeah, they were great.
Yeah, he did stuff in Set It Off, he did stuff in Training Day. You know, he's done video games, he's done the voice and some stuff in 50 Cent has a video game called Bulletproof. So he contributed there, and his list is bananas of stuff that he's done.
Yes.
But you know, people would say, well, y'all didn't do Jermaine Dupri, y'all didn't do
One of my favorites.
Puffy. Yeah,
One
y'all
of
didn't
my
do
favorites.
Puffy. Yeah, y'all didn't
Puffy,
do.
I don't know about Puffy. I feel like Puffy is more of a person that would get the right people in the room, and
Because
then he's the producer. You
what
know
was
what
the
I
name
mean?
of his team? What was the name of his? It was not Trackmasters, is it?
I don't think that was the name of his. I think he was down with Trackmasters, but I remember Stevie J.
Yeah.
Stevie J was in the camp. He had these. I can't remember the name of the team though, but Puffy wasn't the person moving the switches. I don't think. You know what I mean? Maybe he
I
was,
think
but
he
that wasn't my
was. Yeah, he
Puffy.
was. Yeah, Puffy was moving, and then
Oh,
you know, or he would put people in there, and he would come and tighten it up.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm not gonna
But
say he
he's
was.
not. No, I feel you on that. But what I'm saying is, like, with Puff, dude
He
is a hell
was
of a curator, but he's not a musician.
okay.
And to your point, we didn't use that as criteria. We said who's the best producer. So yeah, I feel you, but
Right.
yeah, I don't think about him in the same vein. But I hate this today. I feel like we're rushing because I wanted to get into this real quick. I had an actual factual I wanted to get into real quick.
Okay.
And this is an artist. This is a producer that we all should talk about. His name is James Poyser. You familiar with him?
Does that name sound familiar?
James Poyser is originally from England. He's originally from Sheffield, Yorkshire, in the UK. He's 53 years old, but he came up in Philly. And James Poyser is part of the Roots crew, but he's also a prolific songwriter and producer. He has worked with the likes of Lauryn Hill. He produced the song Superstar. He worked with Mariah Carey. He produced the song Wishing You Well, When Christmas Comes, a few other things. He's worked with Bilal. He produced the track Sometimes.
Yeah, Al Green.
He wrote D'Angelo's Chicken Grease. He produced that. Music Soul Child, he produced Someone, Mother, Father, Real Love. Erykah Badu, he produced Other Side of the Game, Penitentiary Philosophy back in the day. He's doing joints for Rihanna, Jay-Z, Latifah, Nas, Ziggy Marley. This dude is a monster. If you go on YouTube, he now has this series where he talks about his experiences producing for different people. They're short, 5 or 10 minutes. James Poyser, actual factual.
Actual factual. Shout out to James Poyser, even doing some Adele and Al Green.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, I'm checking him out. Black dude from Sheffield, Yorkshire.
Yes, sir. 53 years old. And
Originally
he's
from
a genius.
Yeah, he's in Philly now, it looks like.
Yeah, he's been based in Philly, from my understanding, since he was a shorty or whatever, but originally from Sheffield, Yorkshire. But yeah, big fixture on the music scene in Philadelphia and the world. He's part of the Roots crew, but this guy is a beast, man. Very humble guy.
I see.
And his stories are very interesting if you catch them on YouTube.
Well, no, now I know. I see you did Nobody Smiling by Common and even Hall of Fame by Big Sean.
Yeah, he's done a lot.
He's done a lot. Okay, James Poyser, POYSER.net. JamesPoyser.net. Shout out to you, James Poyser. Get it in,
yes,
my
sir.
brother.
Thank you for your contributions, man.
Actual
I'm
factual.
surprised you didn't talk more about No ID.
Yeah, and I happen to know No ID personally as well. I think it was just kind of like, quite honestly, just being a little thrown off by the technical glitches and the time constraints that we normally operate in.
Yeah, we
could sit here and talk about this all afternoon.
Definitely.
About all of these producers. So, Cocaine 80s. Shout out to shout out to No ID. He did the 444 album in full, right? Was that the album he did with Jay?
So.
Top to bottom, every song on there, and that was to me a hip hop classic album. He's been around forever. Extremely humble dude.
Yeah.
No ID. Do you understand how he got his name?
No, I don't. I don't know that story.
Well, his name is Dion.
Okay.
Dion, and No ID is Dion backwards.
Ha! Man, I did not know that. Okay. Slick. Yeah, man. No ID. I think I got put on the No ID. Wasn't he producing a lot, did a lot of production for the early Common albums?
Oh, early Common, early Kanye, early everybody in Chicago. He
Jay-Z ended
blessed
up
the
producing
city.
for Jay and a lot of,
Yeah.
so many other people. So, yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, he may still be, or at one point was the president of Def Jam or Universal Records.
Okay.
You know, I want to shout out my man Extreme, who was from Chicago and has worked alongside a lot of these same people that we're talking about.
Okay.
So yeah, No ID is originally from Chicago. I'm checking out what he's doing right now. So yeah, he's done some Bow Wow, Smile by G Unit. He did some Kanye DOA, that DOA album.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, some people refer to him as the godfather of Chicago hip hop, and he plays instruments as well.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's a guy.
yeah.
Talented. I've been aware of him for many, many years because I was one of those guys back in the day. I would read the album notes and all that stuff. So
And
I
he
knew
even
of him.
and he's even rapped,
Okay.
dropping his own album that he
I didn't know that.
produced. He produced and rapped on his own album. Accept Your Own and Be Yourself is the name of that album.
I didn't know that. I
And
didn't know that.
released a beat tape called Invisible Beats. And it
You
was
know somebody.
co-produced by Jermaine Dupri.
You know somebody that we didn't talk about. I know we're running out of time, but and I understand the polarity with this person that I'm about to say, but I'm just talking about his musical genius, and that is R. Kelly.
I knew you was gonna say that. I knew
I
you
have
was
to
gonna
bring
say
him up.
that.
That dude is a music. I don't even have to say it. We already know that. But it's like I feel like we need to bring him up because you talk about music production. Come on, man. That dude
And
is ridiculous.
so is he it's so that's a whole nother conversation. That's a whole nother conversation.
Dude is
Because
crazy.
can we say can I mean you said it. You already said it.
Yeah, R.
R.
Kelly, man. I
Kelly.
mean,
Wow.
he's talking about his music production work. I mean,
Yeah,
what's the
yeah,
group
yeah.
he had back in the Shy back in the
They
day?
were called
Uh, uh,
12, not 12. That was uh
R. Kelly and the Public Announcement.
public announcement. Public
He was
announcement.
doing stuff way even before then, man. He's done stuff for Aaliyah, all these different artists. That guy is a musical genius. And then not to mention what he's done on his own albums. I
Yeah.
think he's pretty much produced the bulk of all of his own albums that
Yeah.
before we knew a lot of this other stuff, we loved this guy's catalog. I mean, it is what it is. So I wanted to bring him into this conversation for his music contribution. We're not getting into anything else, but just that.
Hey, listen, I know we're talking top 5 dead or alive, but I have to mention something that's off topic real quick. Tomorrow is a national holiday. Did you know that? Do your kids have school tomorrow? E?
Columbus.
It's not Columbus Day, man.
Well, I'm talking about the reason why they're out. I don't know.
But they changed the
I know you
name.
put up something about Indigenous People Day.
Hey, man, if y'all don't get this right, it's no longer Columbus Day. It's a federal holiday. It's no longer Columbus Day. We will not honor, in the immortal words of Jay-Z, the only Christopher we acknowledge is Wallace. It is now forever Indigenous Peoples Day.
I didn't know that.
So that's my actual factual contribution.
That's what's up, man. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. I definitely.
Please let your kids know.
Because one thing about it, they need to change that in this iPhone.
They need to change it everywhere, and it's
That's
unfortunate.
definitely what comes up. I did see you posted something somewhere about Indigenous Peoples Day. Interesting enough. So you know, for those of us who have the knowledge and the understanding and all of that, I've always understood, you know, the history with all of that. So that's not, you know, that's great that we're calling it Indigenous People Day, but I really hope that people go back and really understand why it's so important to understand the sequence of events that brought us to where we are now in North America. Don't just walk around talking about it's Indigenous People Day. Go back and do the knowledge to the sequence of events and make sure you understand. That's what's important. Whether
Yeah.
it's tomorrow, the next day, or whatever, but especially a lot of you younger people, go back and make sure you understand that. Please.
Yeah, because this was the first year we really truly acknowledged Juneteenth.
Yeah.
This is the first year that we really got behind 1619.
Yeah, no doubt.
And so I'm of that understanding what you're talking about. That's why I'm on it so heavy. With just keep putting it out there. I'm not honoring the previous name. The only Christopher I acknowledge is Wallace. Tomorrow is Indigenous Peoples Day, and it is up to us to correct people at every chance we get and to do the knowledge on why it even came to be. You do realize in Chicago, I believe we took down every Columbus statue in the city of Chicago and some surrounding suburbs.
You know, I'm glad we're talking about this. Here's the problem, and I could talk about this all day, but like, here's the problem that I have with that stuff. All right, so we took them down, right? Who's the person who found Chicago?
Jean Baptiste Pont du Sable.
You know what I mean? Like, that's
black dude, black Frenchman.
Yeah, no doubt. No, Haitian.
Haitian.
So, and see, that's what I'm like. That's what I really want people to start. We're so worried about we didn't need to take the stuff down, but I just want to make sure people know the actual history, though. You know what I mean? It's like, just think about it from a mathematical perspective. It's like build and destroy, right? So you're destroying, but it's got to be simultaneous, because you could take all the Columbus stuff down, but if you don't know the science that goes along with that, it's still going to be imbalanced. You just took a bunch of statues down.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I always bring up that particular person in history because that's where we live right now, you know, in North America. And sometimes a lot of people aren't aware of who that individual is. So, yeah, thank you for bringing that up. And Indigenous People Day is tomorrow for sure. Okay.
All right. We have another out of characters from corporate.
We do. This is going to be, this is the next installment. So, characters from corporate.
All
right. So we got Eric, I love what you all are doing with the show. I am 51 years old, Black man from Oakland, California. All right. Shout out to the Bay Area, the Yay area.
Yep.
I recently got a windfall of cash due to a racial discrimination lawsuit. I don't want to say my industry or give any other real details due to legal reasons. Now that I got this money and I've basically retired, I've started thinking about my own behavior and tactics while I was in corporate. This is guilt, but I frequently passed over other Black people for promotions. So this is a Black man, he's 51 years old, from Oakland. He said he frequently passed over other Black people for promotions. He backstabbed many people of all backgrounds, and he was extremely selfish in most of his corporate dealings. I was a character, to say the least. Now that I got this multi-million-dollar bag, how can I atone for my many corporate sins? Character from corporate. 53-year-old brother from the Yay area. He wants to atone for his many corporate sins, it sounds like. So he said he passed over other Black people, he backstabbed people, and he was extremely selfish in his corporate dealings.
He's got to do some I won't say go to those people and admit what he's done, because that's gonna just expose him to a level that he ain't ready for, unless he's trying to go there. But I would say he can start hosting some workshops on what to look for in people who may have his character, things to look out for. Tell them what to be on the lookout for, how to spot other characters from corporate.
Okay.
Let them know what to do, what to look for when people are looking to shit on you, get in the way of your progress.
Yeah, I like that. He got a multi-million-dollar bag. How can he atone for? I don't know, brother. You could think about, like Stu was saying, put together a vehicle to help people navigate other characters in corporate. You know what I mean? Like you could create a program, and you could mentor people who are still in corporate. You don't even have to really put your name out there like that. You can just find young people that are in corporate or mid-aged people and kind of help them navigate.
Yep. And I appreciate you admitting you're a character from corporate, fool. But oh well, you did that. You're here.
Now you feel guilt ridden. You know what I mean? So
Dang.
You are a character from corporate, and you've
Yes,
done a
you
lot
are.
of damage. You've done a lot of damage. Hopefully, you can atone for that.
Man. Yeah, I'm glad you don't share your name and I'm not happy with you, brother. But okay, I appreciate you. I hope you fix it. I hope you feel better about yourself, young character. It's terrible.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing, brother.
Thanks for sharing. Appreciate you.
Get yourself together and atone for your sins. But
you could send 10 racks to the Money Sex Gen X podcast to start your atonement process. So next time.
Yeah, you know what? You know what he could do? Here's a great idea. So Stu and I are affiliated with an executive coaching firm, Nelson Career Curators. Send over 10 racks. We'll take that money and give it to them, and they can provide access to some people's services who wouldn't ordinarily be able to afford it.
There you go. Come on. Send 20 racks now.
Send 20 racks. Send 20. Yeah. We're going to give it to Nelson, and some people can get some access to deal with these issues.
That's what you could do. If you're really feeling like you want to do something, cut the check.
Cut the check.
We ain't asking for a lot. Just a little.
Yeah, 20 racks. It won't hurt you.
Won't hurt you.
What an episode. We
got through it.
Technical difficulties. We ended up on Zoom.
And possibly with a check for 20 racks coming our way.
20 rack contribution to the culture. Can we take a little percentage of that 20 racks?
Well, that's why I bumped it up, because we need 5%.
5 off of that and put it into the podcast.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm sure Nelson Career wouldn't mind,
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, thank you for having that music conversation today, brother. You had some great names on your list. It was good to just talk music with somebody. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, man, I learned a lot from you. I'm ready to listen to some of this Ron G that I forgot about from the 80s.
Yeah.
I'm gonna turn some of that on today. Got some work to do today still. Thank you for inviting me in on the Money Sex Gen X podcast.
No doubt, man.
Always a blast. Thank you to everybody who has listened in, chimed in, and stuck with us through the technical difficulties that we will not harp on any longer.
No, it is what it is. We went, what happens when you go live, so things happen. But we like going live. We don't want to do a pre-recorded show. So
next week though is episode number 6.
Episode 6.
We have a really, really amazing episode. I need you to work on the promo for it. We have a guest, the good Dr. Dave Montgomery.
Dave Montgomery, yeah.
Cardiologist, from Chicago. If you don't know, you will know. And the topic is healthy sex over 40.
Wow.
Healthy sex over 40.
Healthy sex over 40. I don't even hear people talk about that really. That's gonna be good.
Yeah, man. Yeah, 40, man. You know. I got a lot of, I'm gonna listen to Dr. Dave. He's only gonna be on for about 30 minutes with us, but I'm gonna get all I can from that conversation with him.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to talking about. So is our whole episode healthy sex over 40?
It's probably gonna spill into some other stuff, but it's particularly about relationships. I know you had I know you had a conversation you wanted to have. We might be able to open up that a little bit.
Right.
Whether or not you need a blue pill or not, or we talk about the heart, so we talking about blood flow, and working out and what you can do to
stamina,
your stamina and pleasing your partner, and how you keeping up out here. What's the good food to eat? What's the all that.
Yeah. And doing these activities with, we both have younger queens.
Yeah.
They're younger. They're not 40. They're not even Gen Xers. I know mine is. I don't think your lady is either. So
No. So this is gonna be,
millennials. So.
and my lady's getting snatched, brother. She's her workout. She's we just had twins a year ago, and she lost all of that through working out and through her diet, man. And my lady is smaller now than when I met her.
Okay.
And I had to look in the mirror at myself and say, "Hold up, bruh. What you gonna do, bruh?"
I do, yeah.
Because I know they sliding in her DM,
Wow.
I know they sliding in her DM, so I better give her something that's worthwhile, man.
Yeah, I actually am watching her progression on IG. It's a beautiful thing to see. I'm seeing her do the exercises. I'm seeing her, drink the drink and just be diligent every day. I love to see the before and after, but with her, you can see it almost daily.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy. Yeah. It's crazy. So
that's good, man. What a gift for you. I mean, that's great.
Oh man, I am blessed.
Yeah, man. So we can get into that more next week. Sex over 40. Yeah. Do people know that we have sex over 40? Is that
they if you're in your teens and 20s, man, you probably think, what you say, 40, you're dead.
You're dead.
They have no idea.
No idea.
What this life is like. It ain't dead, that's for sure.
Nah, and we'll talk about this more next week, but many people, including myself, would argue that sex in your 40s is the best that you've had.
Yeah.
So that's not something I hear talked about. I want us to really get into that next week.
Okay. Well, we will, brother. We will.
Thank you for tuning in to the Money Sex Gen X podcast, episode 5.
Episode 5.
Reminded, we're cruising right along. We want to get with you all next week, same time, 11:30 a.m. Sunday, we will be dropping it again. Dr. Dave Montgomery. And until next week, peace.